Hi, it's Katrina. Did you know that the country with the most pyramids is not Egypt? Have you ever seen a stone circle next to a gas station? Today we are exploring some of the most mysterious ancient places history class forgot to mention. From hidden tombs in the desert to a biblical village that sank underwater, I've got some places for you that you might want to add to your bucket list. The Forgotten Pyramids of Nubia. 250 plus pyramids. But this isn't Egypt. You've been looking in the wrong place. What? In the golden sands of Sudan, far from the selfie sticks and street vendors of Giza, rise the jagged silhouettes of over 250 pyramids. Did you know that Sudan has more pyramids than all of Egypt? It's true. They slice the sky like forgotten daggers, and yet hardly anyone knows they exist. No postcards, no school field trips, no dramatic drone shots with an orchestral score on the History Channel. You might be sleeping on one of the most mysterious ancient sites in history. Well, not on my watch. We all know the Giza gang, Khufu, Khafre, Menkaure, but the real pyramid MVPs are chilling farther south. The Kingdom of Kush, beyond the southern border of Egypt, built over 250 pyramids between 700 BC and 300 AD. These weren't discount knockoffs either. Each one was a royal tomb constructed for kings, queens, and nobles who left behind a powerful civilization. And who were these pyramid-building royalty? The Black Pharaohs of Kush. Around 750 BC, the 24th dynasty of Egypt collapsed. King El-Kurru of Kush stepped into the power vacuum and took control of the lands. He ruled both Egypt and Nubia from the city of Napata along the Nile River. With the hostile takeover complete, King El-Kurru decided to copy the Egyptians and start building pyramids. Only they'd have a distinct Nubian twist. The first one went up in El-Kurru, built for El-Kurru's successor Kashta and his son Piye. More and more pyramids were built until El-Kurru eventually got too crowded. There were too many people to bury and not enough space to erect pyramids. So the Kushites moved their pyramid graveyard to Nuri, then to the city of Meroë in 590 BC, where they went full architectural beast mode. Meroë grew to become the largest necropolis in all of Nubia, and today it is a feast for the eyes. Have you ever been to the Giza pyramids? You can't take a selfie without beating away a street vendor selling you trinkets. At Meroë, you can climb on the pyramids, slide down them, and take a nap in the shade, and no one will bother you. The place is deserted. But Nubia's dominion over Egypt didn't last long. They were kicked out and just kind of did their own empire thing in their own territory. Then in 330 AD, things took a turn for the worse. The kingdom of Aksum in modern-day Ethiopia came along and toppled Meroë. And just like that, the kingdom of Kush faded away and the pyramids became ghostly relics of the sand. Here's where the story gets infuriating. When modern explorers showed up, these ancient wonders had already been looted by grave robbers. But in the 1830s, an Italian treasure hunter named Giuseppe Ferlini came along and gave destruction a whole new meaning. He smashed the tops off of 40 pyramids. Why? Because he believed that treasure was hidden inside them, like they were Easter eggs with little toys inside. By the time actual archaeologists arrived in the 19th and 20th centuries, a lot of the magic had been torn apart. The Nubian pyramids were busted to pieces. There are still some standing, and this is still a mystical place to see, but Giuseppe Ferlini really did some incredible damage. Still, modern archaeologists uncovered fascinating details. For example, unlike Egyptian pyramids, these ones have burial chambers underneath, hidden like secret lairs accessed through stairs carved into the ground. Archaeologists also found artifacts from Rome, India, and China, proving that Nubia had some very impressive global trading partners. So why doesn't anyone talk about these pyramids today? The answer is surprisingly simple. The plain fact is they're inconvenient. While the Giza pyramids are a quick cab ride from a Starbucks, the Nubian pyramids sit in the middle of Sudan's desert. No resorts, no tour buses, just wind, sand, and history waiting to be remembered. And then there's war. Civil wars ravaged Sudan from the 1950s through the 2000s. As recently as 2020, travel advisories warn tourists to stay away. You can't exactly sell tickets to a war zone, and without tourism, there is no money for preservation. Many of the pyramids are crumbling, collapsing into rubble while the world scrolls past on Instagram. Would you risk your neck to visit this incredible place? The stone circle next to a gas station. Between the roar of engines, the smell of gasoline, and the neon glow of a Shell station sign blinking through the Norwegian mist, you'll find something unexpected. It's got to be the world's most unimpressive stone circle. If the Nubian Pyramids are hard to get to, the Hammersanden Tingringen stone circle is too easy to get to, but not easy to say. You can find this weirdly mystical yet also incredibly random ancient site at an intersection between Highway 41 and the road to Hammersanden camping. It's as if Odin himself missed his turn at the roundabout and left a sacred relic behind. The stone circle, humble but striking, consists of 12 low-standing stones, each about the size of a small boulder. They're arranged in a nearly perfect circle, spaced about 10 feet apart to give the site a calm symmetry. Too bad that symmetry clashes spectacularly with the chaos of traffic zooming past. You won't find a stone circle in a worse spot than this. The edge is less than 3 feet from the road, and on the other side of the road is a Shell gas station. If you're filling up your tank and wondering why you feel this sudden urge to perform an ancient solstice ritual, now you know. Originally, the circle didn't stand in this exact spot. When road construction came barreling through like a Norse god in a midlife crisis, the site was in danger of being flattened. In a rare act of preservation-minded thinking, authorities moved the stones a few feet to the west. The preservation team reconstructed the circle carefully, keeping each stone in its original relative position and distance. Archaeologists and workers recreated the layout as it had stood for centuries, but it's still not in the right spot. And if a stone circle moves, everyone knows it loses its power. Just kidding, I just made that up. It's just such a unique place, I couldn't wait to tell you about it. And although it is admittedly unattractive given the gas pumps and all, it is still a major mystery. Nobody knows what the stone circle was originally used for. Maybe it was a burial site, maybe a meeting place. If it was a burial, I have a hunch there might be some very old bones under that gas station. No one even knows how old it is. There's absolutely no information on this thing other than how it was moved and the fact it's probably a few millennia old. The next time you are road tripping through southern Norway, take a moment, pull over, stand in the center of the circle. Listen past the engines and the gurgling gas. Let the stones remind you that mystery doesn't need to be remote to be real. And now for a quick break because I want to give a big thank you to Doral Fodor for the super thanks. It really means a lot, and we wouldn't be here without you. Be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Kitum Cave, the deadliest place on Earth? A beautiful cave holds a deadly secret. Tucked into the remote folds of Mount Elgon on the Kenya-Uganda border is a cave. It's a volcanic chasm so drenched in mystery, folklore, and horror stories that it might as well come with its own ominous soundtrack. They call it Kitum Cave. It's supposedly the deadliest place in the whole world. What do you think? Should we go inside? From the outside, it's stunning. Dense rainforest spills across jagged lava slopes, the air thick with the scent of wildflowers. But step closer, just a little closer, and suddenly you are not in a postcard anymore. You are in a real-life thriller. This cave is ancient, formed not by flowing lava but by cooling volcanic rock. Kitum winds 700 feet into the mountainside, like the earth is trying to keep something locked inside. And maybe, just maybe, it is. But what makes it so dangerous? It's just a cave, right? Most caves are dangerous because they're full of holes, tight passageways, and chasms leading down into wherever Gandalf fell while fighting the Balrog. But Kitum Cave is dangerous because of its bats, or more specifically from bat guano. The dust from all the guano in the cave hangs in the humid air, waiting to get sucked into the lungs of any breathing human foolish enough to enter. And that's bad news because, ever heard of Marburg virus? What about Ebola? This cave has long been rumored to be the original source of these two viral nightmares, known for turning your insides into soup and your body into a cadaver. It's not confirmed, but scientists suspect both viruses originated from the bat guano in the air of Kitum Cave. I mean, are you brave enough to enter this place? I'm kind of a chicken, but what if it was filled with treasure? Spoiler alert, it is not the treasure that you might be thinking. If you were hoping for a shrine to dark gods or a sacrificial altar, you're out of luck. What Kitum Cave had instead were elephants. Tusked giants have been visiting Kitum Cave for centuries. They wander in at night to scrape the walls with their tusks like itchy bears rubbing their backs on tree trunks. The walls are rich in salt, which elephants, buffaloes, and antelopes treat like a prehistoric snack bar. They grind the salt with their tusks and slurp it up. Humans have also been visiting the site for centuries. The cave likely served as a shelter for native tribes during prehistory. I wonder if any of them got Ebola. Obviously, considering the inherent danger, Kitum Cave is off limits. Just kidding, you're totally allowed to visit. There's even a friendly little sign near the entrance, encouraging visitors to explore its beauty and natural history. The cave is stunning. That is, if you can overlook the fact it's practically coated in disease-ridden bat guano. Would you go inside to feel the weight of 1,000,000 years of natural mystery pressing in around you? Or would you rather admire it from a safe distance, preferably in a hazmat suit and looking at it from Google Earth on your phone at your home, far away from all the bats? A Mayan triangle in the Guatemalan jungle. Let's get back to the middle of nowhere, shall we? Beneath the tangled green canopy of Guatemala's Petén region, where howler monkeys scream like banshees at all hours of the day, archaeologists just stumbled onto something big and also pointy. What they found is a previously unknown Mayan complex made up of 3 ritual-heavy, pyramid-studded, mystery-soaked sites near the famous ruins of Uaxactún. That's 3 new sites that, when put together, create a massive complex of ancient structures. It's pretty awesome. The trio of newly unearthed sites named Los Abuelos, Petnal, and Cambrayal form an ancient triangle that had been completely off the radar until now. Let's start with Los Abuelos, which charmingly translates to the grandparents. It's named after 2 stone figures that eerily resemble an old couple. Scientists think the statues represent an ancestral couple, which may have played a key role in Mayan spiritual life. Luis Rodrigo Carrillo, Guatemala's Vice Minister of Culture and Sports, called Los Abuelos one of the region's most important ritual centers. It had altars, sanctuaries, ceremonial grounds, the full sacred works. To put this into a modern perspective, finding Los Abuelos was like discovering a lost Mayan Vatican in the jungle. This was a religious seat of power, a place heavily dictated by rituals and ceremonies. To the east is the site of Petnal, home to a 108-foot-high pyramid. Perched at its top are 2 rooms still intact, complete with murals showcasing symbolic Mayan artistry, like cosmic Instagram posts in paint and plaster. And then there's Cambrayal, the wild card. Just 3 miles from Los Abuelos, archaeologists found evidence of indoor plumbing being used here, at a time when half the world was still trying to invent shoes. Put it all together, and what do you get? A triangle of ancient urbanism. Ritual center, pyramid complex, and a palace with engineered hydraulic plumbing, all clustered near Uaxactún, one of the most legendary sites of the Maya world. Forget Tikal, you need to make this place your next jungle vacation. This newly revealed triangle of sites adds more fuel to the fire that the Maya were one of the most advanced civilizations of the ancient world. Or maybe there's another vague, obscure, totally amazing Mesoamerican site you'd rather visit. If there is, tell me about it in the comments. The biblical village that sank. How would you like to visit the very same village where Jesus performed miracles? If you'd like to go, be sure to pack your snorkel because the whole place is underwater. Archaeologists had to abandon the site and run away as it was abruptly flooded. I'm talking about the ancient village of Bethsaida, once bustling with boats and miracles on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. It is now submerged beneath floodwaters, its holy ground turned into an accidental aquarium. Archaeologists in 2020 were racing to confirm the town, known in modern times as El-Araj, is indeed the true site of Bethsaida from the Bible. But the heavens had other plans. It rained so hard that the Sea of Galilee rose to reclaim what history once lost. And just like that, the dig stopped. And now the whole place is a soggy, waterlogged mess. Let's talk about Bethsaida. According to the New Testament, it was the hometown of apostles Peter, Andrew, and Philip. It's also where Jesus famously performed not one, but two crowd-stopping miracles. He fed 5,000 people with a snack-sized fish combo and gave sight to a blind man. You know, typical Tuesday miracles. The El-Araj excavation site, long suspected to be the actual Bethsaida, had been delivering juicy finds. Archaeologists found the walls of a Roman-style bathhouse, pottery shards, a Byzantine church possibly linked to the apostles, and much, much more. The lead archaeologist, Professor Moti Aviam from Kinneret College, believed they were on the brink of confirming what believers and scholars have wondered for centuries. They were so close to proving the site is Bethsaida. But then came the rain, buckets of it. And the Sea of Galilee, usually a bit of a diva when it comes to water levels, filled to the brim for the first time in over 30 years. The entire excavation site turned into a lagoon. There were catfish swimming over history. Ironically, this isn't Bethsaida's first brush with drowning. According to Moti Aviam, flooding may have been why the original settlement was abandoned around the 3rd century AD. Rising lake levels from the Jordan River likely soaked the streets, courtyards, and homes until the villagers gave up and left. Then came layers of silt, nearly 10 feet of it, burying the past until it was nothing but legend. Centuries later, in the 6th century, Christians believed they had rediscovered the site and built a church to honor the apostles. That church is probably the one found at El-Araj, only to be entombed beneath murky water. I should mention that the floodwaters did recede. However, the whole site is still a boggy, wet, sloppy mess. Excavations have to constantly battle the groundwater, which makes any progress practically impossible. It's been 5 years and scientists are still stuck due to all the dang water. Bethsaida, an ancient town of miracles, has gone back to being a mystery under the waves. Do you think it's still worth a visit? The Lost City in Colombia. High above the Caribbean coastline of Colombia, a forgotten city stirs beneath the trees. For centuries, it lay hidden in silence. And now, thanks to lasers, satellites, and the kind of tenacity usually reserved for extreme sports, archaeologists have rediscovered it. This is the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, a place where altitude climbs faster than your heart rate and where entire civilizations may still be hiding in the fog. If you didn't catch my meaning here, a city has been found on a Colombian mountain and it is ancient. The people who built this hidden city were the Tairona, a mysterious pre-Columbian civilization known for their gold craftsmanship and a fierce resistance to Spanish conquest. They were excellent builders and left behind stone terraces through the jungle that defy erosion. They carved pathways into mountainsides and erected cities on mountaintops. The newly discovered city, likely founded around 800 AD, stands atop a steep ridge 5,000 feet above sea level, hidden beneath a tangle of jungle. Two of the folks behind the discovery are National Geographic explorer Albert Lin and archaeologist Santiago Giraldo. They have spent 20 years decoding this region's secrets. Armed with LiDAR, a laser-based technology that can see through vegetation like Superman can see through your soul, they scanned the terrain from a helicopter fitted with 3 sensors pointing in every possible direction. The result was a digital map that lit up with man-made shapes. In this mountainous corner of the jungle, there are plateaus, terraces, and mysterious platforms invisible to the naked eye everywhere. They were only identified because of the lasers. Once they were found, Lin and Giraldo did what any good explorers would do. They hiked straight into the wilderness. It took a 32-mile round trip through vertical jungle walls, venomous snakes, swarms of stinging insects, and air so humid it feels like your sweat is sweating. But when they reached the site, it was all worth it. Stone steps emerged from the roots, pottery peeked out from the earth, and then the moment of magic. A clay fragment with a human fingerprint on it was found. A fingerprint is a very rare thing to find, especially on a jungle mountain. This new site lies near Ciudad Perdida, or the Lost City in English. Ciudad Perdida is Colombia's most famous ancient city and a major tourist destination, initially found in the 1970s by looters looking for gold, as usual. This new city might be even more significant to the Tairona people than Ciudad Perdida, and it's not alone. The LiDAR scans have shown that under heavy layers of vegetation are the remnants of entire communities that once thrived on these slopes. Ciudad Perdida itself is a marvel of ancient engineering. It has multi-level terraces, a drainage system that still works, and a mysterious map in stone thought to show routes into the surrounding jungle. For decades, scholars have speculated that other cities were connected to it. And now, that theory is laser confirmed. Lin and his team believe this is just the beginning. They've already identified 6 more sites, all nestled within Colombia's most forbidding terrain, likely built by the Tairona over 1,000 years ago. How much would you sweat to see this lost city? Would you fight swarms of bloodthirsty mosquitoes and dodge venomous snakes? If you want to go, let me know. Maybe we can make a trip. The Forgotten Heart of Crete. On the sunlit slopes of Mount Ida is a city that time nearly erased. They call it Eleutherna, and it has a direct connection to the origin of Greek civilization. So you know it's old. Mount Ida is on the island of Crete, which for centuries has fascinated historians and archaeologists thanks to it being dominated by the Minoans. They were fresco painters, labyrinth builders, and palace architects. The Minoans were among the earliest civilized human beings in the Mediterranean. But Eleutherna goes beyond the Minoans. This place continued to thrive long after the Minoans fell, during the so-called Greek Dark Ages, when civilization was supposed to be collapsing. Instead, Eleutherna was rising. In the 9th century BC, settlers laid the foundations of the city. It quickly became a cultural powerhouse. It birthed poets, philosophers, and sculptors, including the likes of Linos, Diogenes, and Timocharis. Not exactly household names all these years later, but the important thing to know is that they were skilled artisans. Everything went swimmingly for about 700 years. Then, in 220 BC, Eleutherna lit the match for the Lydian War by accusing the city-state of Rhodes of assassinating their leader, Timarchus. What followed was a political shakeup involving Knossos, Gortys, and Philip V of Macedon. I know I'm throwing a lot of names at you right now that you might not know. But the takeaway is that conflict engulfed Crete, and Eleutherna was at the center of it. Yet the city survived, seemingly unscathed. And in 2009, archaeologists found something they had never expected. The remains of 4 women were unearthed in a necropolis. Their burial was so elaborate, so richly adorned, that the Archaeological Institute of America named it one of the top 10 discoveries of the year. These women were elite, possibly priestesses, preserved in stunning detail with grave goods that told stories of power and tradition. And they were from Eleutherna. Amazingly, archaeologists also found temples, homes, roads, and stone quarries, along with evidence of a bustling working city that thrived from the Archaic period all the way through the Roman era, when it sported luxurious villas and civic structures fit for an empire. Nobody knows how Eleutherna survived when the rest of Crete went the way of Atlantis, which is to say utterly destroyed. So effectively destroyed, it's as if the gods stomped the place into rubble. Alas, Eleutherna couldn't escape its fate. A catastrophic earthquake in 365 AD knocked it all down, and it's been down ever since. But you can still climb the mountain and pick through its bones, if you've got the lungs and the wherewithal to do it. The village lost in time. I've been waiting this whole video to bust out this next amazing place. It's so crazy you're not going to believe it, but I'm telling you anyway. Ready? Picture this. Fog clung to the hedgerows. The October air bit at their cheeks. As 3 Royal Navy cadets crested a hill in 1957, Suffolk, England, they expected nothing more than sheep, boredom, and maybe a lukewarm flask of tea. What they got instead was a brush with the past. They slipped through time as if they were blasted with temporal particles. Our three brave young cadets are William Lang, Ray Baker, and Michael Crowley. Each boy was 15 years old when they crested that fateful hill. They were out on an orienteering mission near the village of Kersey in the rolling green calm of Suffolk. The mission was simple: navigate the countryside like responsible young naval men. But things got weird really fast. Over the hill, they heard church bells ringing. They saw smoke curling into the sky. They figured they'd reach the quaint village of Kersey. Except something was off. As they approached the village, all the background noise of nature just sort of stopped. You know that eerie silence in horror movies right before the jump scare? That. All that was left was the soft burble of a stream and the church bells tolling like a countdown. Then reality changed. The trees, which had been in full autumn mode a few moments earlier, suddenly looked spring fresh and lush. The smoke they'd seen was gone. The spire that drew them into the town was also gone. They stepped into Kersey, but not their Kersey. Where were the cars, the electric poles, the TV antennas? All of it was gone. The relatively modern homes of Kersey had become crooked timber-framed buildings. It was like the whole place had reverted back to the days of the Black Plague. Teenage curiosity being what it is, the boys approached a butcher shop. But this wasn't your local meat counter. Inside were full ox carcasses, hanging like decorations in a serial killer's man cave. The windows were small and grimy, the kind you half expect to see glowing red eyes behind. One boy said it felt like the place didn't belong in their world at all. Another described the buildings as crude, unmodern, and smeared with grime. At this point, it wasn't just spooky, it was borderline Lovecraftian. And then came that chilling sensation. The boys felt eyes watching them. Not just watching, though. The eyes seemed to be crawling over their skin like static electricity. Maybe you've experienced this before. With that chilling feeling upon them, the boys ran. They went up the hill and out of Kersey, and just like that, the chimneys smoked again. The church bells rang, the village was normal. When they went back down the hill, the village was just as it should have been the first time. No more weird feelings, no more gross carcasses hung up in the windows. But the story isn't over yet. Let's forward to the 1980s. Two of the boys, Lang and Crowley, reconnected. They were older, presumably wiser, and maybe slightly less prone to chasing ghost towns. They remembered that day in eerie detail. They even relayed their story to an investigator with the Society for Psychical Research named Andrew Mackenzie. After hearing their incredible tale, Mackenzie dusted off a fascinating concept known as retrocognition. It's the idea that people can somehow perceive scenes from the distant past. He called it a time slip, and he believed it to be 100% real. Mackenzie launched an investigation into the bizarre incident. He and Lang visited Kersey in 1990 with a local historian in tow, and some strange coincidences popped up. Remember the creepy butcher shop? Turns out the building dates all the way back to 1350. And remember the church bells that suddenly stopped? The church wasn't built until after the plague swept through the region, which was after the 14th century. With this info, Mackenzie was able to place their vision, if a vision it was, between 1350 and 1400. Pretty snazzy, huh? But what really happened? Did the boys slip through time? Did they glimpse a vision of the past? Did they eat some funky mushrooms during their walk through the countryside? Even today, Kersey is ancient, really ancient. It's the kind of place where the local pub, the Bell Inn, is 600 years old, and the buildings look like they were constructed by extras from Braveheart. If you dropped into Kersey without warning, you might think you'd time traveled too. It's one of the more mysterious folksy towns in the UK. The young boys may not have realized that they were walking into somewhere from a fairy tale and weren't prepared. Remember how they didn't see any power lines? Well, the Suffolk Preservation Society banned visible power lines in the 1950s. Cables were buried underground to keep the ancient aesthetic of the village. And that, my friends, is the myth of Kersey, the town where you can apparently travel through time, if only briefly. So, now that you know the facts, what's your take? Was this a Doctor Who episode come to life? Or was it a weird combo of expectation, environmental triggers, and 3 teenage brains? Either way, if you go to England, check out the town. Sit and have some tea and crumpets. Maybe you'll slip backwards into 1241. Who knows? And if you'd like to hear more about something similar, like what happened at Kersey and the time slip incident, let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!